relocated to Tupelo, Mississippi at the Antler. We're here for 7 days for the troops. We're pleased to welcome now. It's Scott Burns, co-founder of 7 Days for the Troops. Scott, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. We're excited about our event this afternoon.
Place looks great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, really does. You guys are ready. So tell us about 7 Days for the Troops and what services you provide to our precious veterans.
Well, 7 Days for the Troops is a veteran nonprofit that started 19 years ago on an idea. I was sitting at home. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I got injured when I was in, and the height of the Gulf War was going on, and I heard a story about some kids that were raising money to buy calling cards to send overseas. So I wanted to do something to help them, and so I built a tower in the parking lot of the mall in Tupelo, Mississippi, and I camped out on top of it for 7 days. And that one event turned into now a 19-year venture. We're a veteran nonprofit, and we have a record of 100% of every donated dollar has gone to help veterans.
Wow.
We don't have a paid staff. We don't we don't use donated dollars to pay expenses. We use our donated dollars to do things like pay utility bills and build tiny homes for veterans and wheelchair ramps. And this year we've been able to, there was a father that reached out to us that was a veteran that had a young child that passed away and couldn't cover the funeral expenses, so we were able to help with that. We do, work with other veteran nonprofits to help fund some of the projects that they have, and so we're able to do those things and help veterans in emergency situations.
And by the way, folks, you can donate at the website 7, all one word, 7daysforthetroops.org. Is that right?
That is
Scott?
correct.
Yeah.
And I also tell people all the time, if you don't want to go through the hassle of jumping on the website, finding the donation link, feel free to send me a text to 662-407-9789. That's 662-407-9789. And you can send me a text and say, I want to donate, and I'll send you a link to how you can donate. And just be confident in the fact that 100% of every dollar that you donate will go to help veterans.
So, Scott, are you servicing veterans primarily in the region, in the area, or do you go beyond that?
I go beyond that, and we are teaming up. We're going to make the announcement tonight, so I guess I'm going to break it live here on SuperTalk. But there's an organization that I've helped over the last couple of years called Purple Heart Homes. And we've had 2 projects in Tupelo where we had veterans that lost a home due to a tornado, and another gentleman we found out that was living in a storage building. And so I reached out to my partners at Purple Heart Homes and said, hey, I've got this veteran, I need your help. And they built and delivered 2 tiny homes from Statesville, North Carolina. And so we have decided that we're really good at what we do as far as raising money, but we're a small nonprofit, and my reach is small. And so we are going to do a collaboration, and we're forming a Purple Heart Homes chapter in Mississippi, which will be able to help us help even more veterans in Mississippi. But I take the 7 Days for the Troops event all over the country. I travel with my tower, and I build my tower. I've been to Texas and North Carolina and Louisiana, and so when we do an event in an area, we try to keep most of the money that we raise in that area to help veterans in that area.
So how big a problem is this exactly, Scott? We hear a lot about the plight of our veterans, and many, especially those who have engaged in combat in particular. Of course, they're going to return. They have challenges. They have issues, and sometimes it feels like that the federal government maybe doesn't do enough, and there are voids that need to be filled. Is that kind of where your organization comes into play?
Yes, and I'm a veteran. I'm a 100% disabled veteran. I'm a double amputee due to an injury that I received that later led to a second amputation. And even in my case, because of when I got injured and how I got injured, there are certain programs that I don't necessarily qualify through the VA. Now, I can sit here and complain and argue about whether or not I think I should or shouldn't or whatever. However, that's why I started 7 Days for the Troops, is because it's real easy to sit and complain, but if you don't do anything, if you don't make action, and so that's why we try to fill the gaps in veterans' needs. And for instance, I had somebody reach out to me. walked in on the tail end of a phone call the other day where the young lady, the Lee County Veteran Service officer, was talking to a veteran. Is a 100-year-old Marine Corps veteran, served in World War II. He was not injured in combat. He's just an old veteran. And so, but he's in the point now that he needed a hospital bed and a lift chair. Well, right now there's not a program at the VA that covers that. Now, do I think there should be? Yes. He's a 100-year-old World War II veteran. He should get whatever he needs. But instead of sitting there trying to go through the system of the VA, I reached out to contacts that I have, and within a couple hours, we had a bed promised and a lift chair promised. That's awesome. So we have built a network of other individuals that we may not can solve every problem, but at least know how to reach out to different groups to help.
We're talking to Scott Burns, co-founder, 7 Days for the Troops. That's the number 7. That's also the website, 7daysforthetroops.org. That's where you can make a donation to this organization. How do you find veterans in need? Do they contact you? You identify them? Somebody maybe notifies you about a situation?
We've actually, in the last, especially the last 4 or 5 years, have gotten a relationship with a lot of the veterans counselors and different people in the area that know what we do, and they will call us up and say, hey, I've got this veteran that's having a problem paying their rent this month. And so we'll help that way. Family members will reach out to us. We are getting more where veterans are opening up and saying, hey, I need help, because that's been an issue that veterans were like, I don't know, I don't want to, somebody else needs it more than me. But your families know what that veteran needs, and so now they've encouraged veterans to reach out and to kind of ask for that help, because anybody out there listening, whether you're a veteran or you're just an individual that's going through something, it's okay not to be okay. And so don't be afraid to reach out and say, hey, I need a little help.
Sure. Because
if you sit there and you wallow in that I need help stage, then it really becomes a much larger issue down the road, when you could probably make your life a lot easier by just going to somebody and saying, hey, today I don't have it. I need it. And I think we get so caught up in the fear of asking. And so that's why I do what I do, is because we're able to reach those people. I talk to more people that are amputees that aren't veterans, that see that how I interact with everybody, and that I don't let my legs bother me, and so we've been able to open doors just because people know that we're willing to help, and that we're not going to judge you because you called us and asked for help. And we don't always guarantee. Oops, sorry about that. We don't always guarantee that we're going to be able to help the person when they call us, but we do guarantee that we're going to try to put them in front of somebody that might be able to help them.
Is it a gratifying, rewarding experience for you to help these veterans? It is.
It's one of those things where me individually, I could never write a $10,000 check to help a veteran. But I know how to get a whole lot of people together that we have the like mind. Tonight at this event, we're going to have people and businesses in this building that when it comes to business, they're competitive. They're wanting their own business. However, tonight they're coming together and saying, when it comes to helping our veterans, we're on the same page. And I think that's what we've got to do. That's what we've got to continue to realize, that every day that there is men and women that have signed up that says, today, if need be, I will lay down my life for you.
How long have you been holding this event?
Well, this is the first. Okay. So this is the inaugural 7 Days for the Troops, Southern Salute to the Troops dinner. And this was my way of, in a couple of years, next year will be my 20-year anniversary of the tower. Okay. And I'm 53 years old. So I started looking at what can I do to replace the tower. And so I decided to do this event in hopes to build it to a point where I could step off the tower and know that we still had funds coming in. Yeah. Now, when I booked the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, back in July of last year, he was supposed to come October of last year. I had no clue that he was going to have to cancel in October, reschedule for March, and then he's going to get nominated to be the Secretary of Defense, and then he's still going to come do our event. And so we've tried really hard to let people know that this is not a political event. Secretary of Defense is not coming in his role as Secretary of Defense. He has that title, but he's still coming as veteran Pete Hegseth to show his support and sponsor veterans.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on, and from the looks of the venue here, it looks like you're going to have a packed house tonight, and hopefully you'll do what you're looking to do, which is raise some money to help these veterans.
Well, like I said, our goal tonight is $100,000. That can build a tiny home, that can build wheelchair ramps, that can pay utility bills. There's so much that we can do with that little bit of money, and I will tell you, be part of the first ones to get in on that, and send us a text and say, hey, we want to make a donation. And like I said, just text me 662-407-9789, 662-407-9789, and say, hey, I want to give, and we'll send you a link.
Scott Burns, co-founder, 7 Days for the Troops. We're coming right back from Tupelo, Mississippi. We're pleased to welcome back Scott Burns, co-founder, 7 Days for the Troops. So, man, you guys are all ready. What time's the event tonight, Scott?
Doors open.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead.
There we go. Doors open at 4:45 for our VIP and cocktail hour, and then general admission is at 5:45.
Gotcha.
And before I forget, I want to give you a gift while I'm up here. I know technically radio people aren't supposed to receive gifts, but this is a special challenge coin from our event, and I wanted to make sure that you had one.
I love it. I will add it to my collection that I've received, excuse me, from many members of the military that have done the same thing. It's been pretty cool. And I have that on my desk right next to my main computer, so I look forward to that. Pardon me, I got a little frog in my throat here.
Well, hey, I'll cover the show for you. What y'all want to talk about today out there in Mississippi? We can talk
back.
politics. We can talk veterans. Definitely talk about veterans.
I think this is about the fifth one I've received, and I got introduced to the tradition by a friend of my son's who served in the U.S. military. I think made it all the way to captain in the U.S. Army, and he introduced this to me. He was actually playing golf with my son on the golf course. We were on the driving range, and he came over, and I said, what are you doing? He extended his hand, and it had the coin in it, and I cherish every one of them, so
well,
I appreciate it very much.
I'm going to show you something special about this one, only because you mentioned golf. If you pop it down, it's got
it's a marker,
a ball marker.
That's awesome.
So there you go.
Man, will I ever use that and enjoy it, and I can assure you my patriotic friends will be jealous of that as well. So,
well, hey, and while I've got you, I do want to take time to say thank you to a couple of my sponsors that have helped make this possible, because we had mentioned it earlier that this event is covered because of our sponsors, and we don't use donated dollars. MedPlus here in Tupelo is our presenting sponsor, and they actually are the only clinic in Tupelo that's allowed to see VA patients for like colds and things like that. So they're contracted with the VA, and a lot of veterans in the area don't know that, there are clinics like that in their area that the VA clinics locally are not clinics you can go to if you have a cold.
Okay.
And so they have networked with some other organizations, and ours here in Tupelo in North Mississippi is MedPlus, and you can go get your common cold check and all that.
Just minor sort of elements.
Elements, and then also want to mention while we're on the air, because this will be good for the statewide audience. In October, one of our big supporters is the Southern Heritage Air Foundation down at the Vicksburg-Tallulah Airport. And they actually are having a huge air show in October where I will have my 7 Days for the Troops tower built, and we'll be raising money as part of 7 Days for the Troops at that location October 18th and the 19th. And it's going to be a fun event. And then I'm also going to be doing my fundraising event in Pearl the week of Veterans Day.
Okay.
And so I'll be at the Outlets of Mississippi there in Pearl.
Yeah.
And so we'll build the tower, and I'll be there on Veterans Day, and we'll be feeding veterans out there that day on Veterans Day and all that good stuff.
Very cool. Yeah, over there near Trustmark Park.
That's it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So just looking at all the seats and the tables, it just looks fantastic, by the way, and so patriotic, all decorated up in the red, white, and blue, including the beautiful flower arrangements in red, white, and blue on every table. How did you go about inviting all these people and getting them to come?
Well, most of our advertising has been social media and word of mouth.
Okay.
Now, I will say that it picked up quite amount after the confirmation of Secretary of Defense Hegseth.
Sure.
And the good thing about it is we wanted really to focus on the fact that this is a veterans event. It's a fundraising event for veterans. And so it does not matter who's coming today, whether they're a politician or a former politician. Everybody that is attending the event had to buy a ticket.
Okay. Very cool. So tell the folks how much do you expect to raise tonight? What's your goal?
My goal tonight is $100,000 tonight. So between now and 9 o'clock tonight, our goal is to raise $100,000.
And again, all that money goes to provide services to the vets, right?
Yeah, anything, like I said, from wheelchair ramps to utility bills to a tiny home for a veteran.
Yeah.
I mean, just an example of a veteran that I know right now that we're trying to help is I have a young lady that somebody reached out to me on her behalf that was gifted a tiny home and put on their property, but for whatever reason the utilities didn't get hooked up, the plumbing and electrical and all that. And so some of the funds that we use tonight will be to get those utilities ran for her so that she can enjoy her tiny home.
Okay.
And so there's all kind of different things that people reach out to us for and ask us for, and we try, we buy groceries. We have people that reach out to us and say, hey, I need grocery money, and we do what we can to try to fit those gaps. But one of the things that I didn't talk about earlier, but I want to make sure people understand is if somebody's reaching out to us because they're having issues paying a utility bill, we kind of look at the big picture and we see, okay, they've got multi-months of utility bills that they haven't paid. We don't just give them money. We try to figure out a solution to help them so they're not in that situation next year.
And I have to keep repeating it. Yep, got you. Scott Burns, co-founder, 7 Days for the Troops. We're in Tupelo, Mississippi today for 7 Days for the Troops. What a great organization this is. Go to 7daysforthetroops.org and make a donation. We're stepping aside for a break. It's time for Fox News and SuperTalk News. In the next hour, we've got the mayor of Tupelo, Todd Jordan. Stay with us.